Hi there, my name is Hannah Keating and I'm the Artist Residency and Community Gallery Coordinator at the Robert McLaughlin Gallery. I'm so pleased to introduce you to Sophie Sabet, our RBC Emerging Artist in Residence from January to March 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we've had to delay the opening of Sophie's solo exhibition, The Perfect Day, but I'm so excited to share with you this artist interview, which will give you a glimpse into her practice and the exhibition to come. Sophie is a Toronto-based artist who holds a BA in Art History from Queen's University and an MFA in Documentary Media Studies from Ryerson. She immigrated to Canada from Iran with her family at a young age, and her practice as a filmmaker and installation artist is informed by her education in documentary media, as well as her family's history and her personal relationships. In her new video work, Sophie blends found footage from her childhood with intimate footage from the present day, to explore processes of migration and creation, body politics, and the myriad ways we reveal and conceal ourselves in the world. The video is a fusion of carefully selected images and memories, and in this installation, they will be joined by a series of plaster sculptures. To create these works, Sophie collected secondhand vases, which she filled with plaster and then broke, to reveal objects within that will hold space in the gallery and invite us as viewers to consider the ways our own bodies act as vessels to hold memories, emotions, and trauma. Let's get started.
I started making film or video work when I was doing my MFA at Ryerson. It was a doc media program. I didn't really have any technical background before I started my master's, so it was a lot of me figuring out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and then researching and trial and error, a lot of like self-taught work. And I did have an influence of like documentary styles when I started out, and I think it still carries through my work now, but I am more experimental and have expanded to performative work and sculptural work as well. But I do have like this passion for video, mainly because there's like a lot of freedom in the medium where I don't necessarily need to have a beginning or middle and end to tell a story. It could be fragmented, it could be disjointed, the sound never needs to really match what's happening on the screen, and I really enjoy working in that way. And I do think that like this marriage between video and sound can be very sensory and in that way like impactful for the audience, and it's really capable of like transporting you into like a different realm of understanding. When editing this footage, the material is very personal. It's of a time that I don't even necessarily remember before we immigrated to Canada from Iran. And I wanted to be mindful of what I want to keep in the private realm and how much I want to expose to the public. And editing was allowed me to create that type of balance. So being able to zoom in on a shot where you can't really decipher who it is or what they're necessarily doing, or cropping and panning in a way that complicates the image was really key for me. And also taking into account how the original camera operator, in this case my mom or my dad, what choices they were making and doing a little dance with them. So if they're deciding to highlight something in the image or zoom in on an image, maybe opposing that or reinforcing it by doubling down on it in the editing process. So I really enjoyed like playing around with what the original footage was doing and then taking my own spin at it. I've always been interested in alternate forms of communication. are different types of language, and in this particular piece it's been the body, and I do work with the body a lot. After watching the footage over and over again, I couldn't help but notice like the tension or the release or how the body is composed in each scene of whoever is being shot in the film. And to me, it was very telling, like what the body or what kind of story the body was saying in that moment. So really zeroing in on that and highlighting that gesture or that movement became key. And to me, I think that, yeah, the body can store things that our mind necessarily doesn't always remember or clock in that moment. Whether that is a certain memory or it's trauma or it's love or emotion, it has a way of communicating something. And I wanted to heighten that with bringing in objects around the space as well. And watching the footage, you know, I couldn't help but notice that in every scene, my mom has vases full of fresh flowers, and thinking about the body as a receptacle for all these like immaterial emotions, and how a vase also kind of has that same function. It's a vessel for a more practical reason of flowers, but they do have this like parallel. And when I'm working in this space, I wanted to confront the viewer with this like invisible mass of all of these things that we hold. And by creating that inverted space of the vase with plaster, I was able to do that. So when you come into the room, you might not necessarily see like emotions or memories that are flowing through somebody's body, but you do see like this large mass of plaster that is in the space, and it's taking up room in the gallery. Again, I made some stylistic choices to allow the viewer to have some sort of subjectivity in the space. If I'm not giving it all away and like cropping in on a shot or showing you something, a thinner image, then the viewer needs to, or I'm nodding to the viewer to use their own memories or use their own emotions to complete the image. So there's this like relationship that's happening between viewer and the content. And also, yeah, I definitely think that I like give signals. Like there are obvious themes that are happening in this work. There's body politics, there's intimacy, there's domesticity, and they can act as pillars to guide a viewer. But what I really want is for them to have an authentic experience of the work that is genuine to them and that can ultimately connect us. It's been a really great opportunity. I think like as an artist, you're always looking for space, time, funding to be able to make work, and this experience was exactly that. Also, like having it backed up by an institution like the Robert McLaughlin Gallery has been a really awesome experience, and having support like from the very beginning of an idea to the end of an exhibition is really cool.